Hello, my passenger friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Carffice Podcast, my car office. I'm your host, Greg Gross. Please buckle up and enjoy the ride. Well, you made it. You absolutely made it to episode 13. The last episode in season 1. And just a side note, you know how my introduction says please buckle up? I noticed that I never buckle up, and I'm not going to, because if you didn't know, we're actually not moving right now. There you go. There's my dad humor for the for the podcast today. But I'm so glad you are with me today. Like I said, this is episode 13, a long-awaiting episode, because this is Burlington Part 3. I know I made you wait one more week, but I'm telling you, it was worth it, and you will see why. And I just want to take a moment and, as always, just thank all my listeners. Thank you all that have subscribed, that has liked, shared, commented, called me, texted me, has given me advice, encouragement, just so many different things. I mean, I literally talked to about 3 different people this past week about how they literally binge watched or listened to all the episodes, because again, right now, either you are watching this on YouTube, you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, or maybe even Facebook you're watching this on, because I've been posting these on my Facebook page, or you saw it on Instagram first and went to another link, whatever it is. Just thank you. Thank you for your love, your support, your kind words. Again, I just can't believe it's already episode 13, especially because there's a couple, I think 2 to 3 weeks off there because of the whole COVID and the move to Erie. But thank you. Please keep sharing, subscribing, liking. If this has been adding value to your life, please keep passing it on. I hope last week was great for you. A little standalone, a little July 4th, come on now. And I hope that was just a little bit different rhythm for you, and you enjoyed it. Well, here we are. Like I said, episode 13. A little recap. Well, I would say this. I'm not going to really give you a recap of last week, which was my standalone Protect This House. It was just all about July 4th, independence, freedom, about my family a little bit, about some of my political views, what I think about life, even though I don't really have political views. But you can catch that in the episode. And also, I'm not going to really even go into a recap of Burlington Part 2, because there's just no time for that. If you have not listened to Burlington Part 1 or 2, you probably should turn this off right now. I know, you might just have picked this up and you're first jumping into this, and I welcome you. I mean, stay if you'd like, but you're going to miss so much context if you have not listened to Burlington Part 1 and Part 2, which was over this past month, or just start from the beginning. I mean, you can start from episode 1 and just enjoy. But for those of you that are ready, for those of you that have listened to Burlington Part 1 and Part 2, we are going to jump in to Burlington Part 3. So, Oh, I forgot though. Yes, I know. I need to do this. As we go into this final week of this, I guess, 3-part series, I just want everybody to remember that this is my story. This is my side, my lived experiences, obviously my perspective, my opinions, my truths. Obviously, there's other people that were involved in this season of my life. And if you have other perspectives, opinions, lived experiences, truths, all that kind of stuff, hey, once again, feel free to make a podcast, write a book, share, whatever you like on any platform. But this is the Carffice, my car office, the Carffice Podcast with your host, Greg Gross. And so, obviously, I just want to let you guys know, hey, that's what's about to go down here. Again, that's my little disclaimer to you. And before we jump into this episode, dusting off one of my favorite one of my favorite hats that I got throughout my time in Burlington, and many people wanted to take it from me. I forgot which camp. I don't know. Someone can help me with that. It's a little dusty here, guys. Come on now. Actually, no. It looks like the kids were playing with it on the rug or something. But here we go, guys. Boom. Jesus. It's all about Jesus, guys. And I wanted to start off this episode with wearing this hat because, I mean, my faith, my beliefs is Jesus, the way, the truth, and life. And I still believe that till this day. And that's why I wanted to represent right here. And I remember preaching with this hat on, going to camps, different outings. And so I wanted to start off this episode, part 3, with the Jesus hat. This is going to be taking place between fall 2017 through the end of summer 2019. And that's it. That's it. And I'll probably mention this again, but I just want to let you guys know there's so much in 6 years. There is no way I'm going to be able to pack this into 3 episodes. I probably have to do like 13 episodes, and there's really no reason for that. So I'm just giving as much as I can in the past 3 episodes. If you think I should have added something to another episode or dug deeper into something in other episodes, let me know. Maybe I'll make another podcast about that. But obviously this has been a very broad overview, and the rest will be in my book someday. So, I mean, you can just wait and be patient if you'd like. Or not, don't be patient. But I'm just going to, again, jump into this. This is probably going to be the longest part. I'm guessing. There's some stuff in here. As you can always also see, I'm wearing my Wild shirt, which we'll get into that at some point in this episode, because I already told you guys, this is going to be the wildest ride yet. This is going to be bumpy, swervy, highs, lows, ins, outs. I mean, you probably should put your seatbelt on, okay? But that's why I'm wearing this Wild shirt, and I thought it was appropriate as we close out the Burlington series. Okay, well, we kicked off fall 2017 with tailgate parties. Hey, I think this was the first time we did tailgate parties in Burlington, and I don't know why we waited so long, because these were legit. These were like, I'm telling you out there, if you are in youth ministry and if you're part of a school, and if you're not part of a school, you're actually failing as a youth pastor, by the way. I learned early on in college, if you're not part of the school district and part of a school, you're failing as a youth pastor. Why in the world would you just sit in the 4 walls all the time? Like, get out, get off your butt, out of the 4 walls. You don't need to sit in the office all day. Maybe Wednesdays or whenever you have your youth service is the only time you probably should be in the office. Everything else, get out into that community. There's a little side note for you. But tailgate parties were awesome. And to do a tailgate party, you need some type of a relationship with the school. That's probably why I waited this long. But I've built such a good relationship with the principal, with the athletic director, which that's the key right there too, because he's the one usually in charge of everything outside of, inside and outside athletics there. And so we did 2 tailgate parties. We give out hot dogs. Actually, just talking to the youth pastor friend. Free hot dogs, free water. We do candies, suckers, Jolly Ranchers. We just set up a tent, and as students were walking in, people walking in, we're giving that stuff out. And the other cool strategic thing about it is we had another fall event coming up, and so we got to hand out invites, and we had signs that said "We love Burlington" and different things like that. Again, very service, oriented, very giving, very authentic, and it was a blast, because then we'd go to the football games. There's a Friday Night Lights. Come on, who doesn't love Friday Night Lights? And then here's the other thing, talking about serving. Here's another pro tip for all of you. Okay, I don't remember where I learned all this. You just learn it, but anything, here you go. You can take it. This is all free, obviously. But don't just serve before the football game and hand out things. My encouragement to all you youth pastors out there, or churches in the community, whatever youth workers you have, then tell the school you're going to stay after the game and pick up all the bleachers, all the trash. You bring it all. Bring all the materials, your gloves, your garbage bags. We had a leaf blower one time, electric one. We blew all the trash down from the top of the bleachers to the bottom. We swept it up with our own sweepers, what are they called, brooms, into the garbages, and we did all of that. I had 10, maybe 15 students, a few leaders. We took care of it. It saved the janitor's time the next day. I'm telling you, the school, they just didn't know what to think. They couldn't believe it, So which, by the way, remember in the summer, we also cleaned out the lockers. We cleaned out the lockers in the summer. We did tailgate parties, served there, cleaned up the bleachers. Just a few ideas, I'm telling you, that I just wanted to pause because those are some of the best moments too, guys. Like, when you're serving, giving is better than receiving, right? It should be. So that was epic. Tailgate parties, which kicked into, we did 2 of those. It kicked into our Youth Fest, October 5th. That was epic. We had a Youth Fest, kind of, again, like a Friends Night. We were kind of changing all the names. It went from like one night to Friends Night to Youth Fest. I think another name's coming up here that I'll share with you. But that was another great kickoff of the fall. All the kind of same things, car smashes, inflatables, giveaways. Students, most important thing about these things is it gave students opportunities to bring their friends and to accept Jesus into their lives, which is right here. Come on now. Then let's see. Oh, dude, we went into one of my probably favorite series of all time when I was there, called Stranger Things. That's right. We did it right before Halloween and then after Halloween. Stranger Things. Anybody else love that show? On Netflix, they're coming out with season 4, by the way, here soon. It was delayed, like everything else, because of COVID. But this was after, like, I think the first season, crazy, of Stranger Things, and it was fun. We just talked about all these strange things that happened in the Bible. Like, I think we talked about like the donkey talking and some other things too. So there you go. I can't remember it all, people. Come on now, but it was a great series. And then another cool thing that was happening around that time, to jump back to the schools, is the wrestlers, the season started. And if you remember the past year, that is when one of the wrestlers who had a lot of influence gave his life to Jesus. He couldn't wrestle anymore because of injury, but he had such an influence on the wrestling team. It went off into some of the captains. And I believe 2018 was, that school year was when the most wrestlers were showing up at youth group. It was really awesome. About 15, 20 of them, more of them got baptized. They do all these huddles, worship together. It was just really cool. The atmosphere of the wrestling team that year was something to remember. I'm telling you, those were some really good times. And you have to understand too, that was me already now pouring 4 years into that wrestling team, and just building trust and being authentic and showing the love of Jesus. And guys, it takes time. I'm not saying it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4. It could take 8. It could take 12. Are you willing? No matter how long it takes. It's all about that consistency. So that Christmas, we had a Whoville Christmas party. Cindy Lou Who, yep, she was there. And the Grinch was there too. One of my leaders dressed up as the Grinch. That was fun. I just looked back at some pictures like that. So, of that. And by the way, I think I shared this before. Probably one of the main reasons I'm able to remember all this, I'm not like, I do not have the greatest memory. You know what? Instagram really helped. Went back on the Instagram page, scrolled through, looked at different things, and that's how I can remember these things, people. There you go. There's my secret. Let me see here. Oh, the big give that year, we gave over $3,700. Just the Burlington campus alone. All 3 campuses that year gave over $11,000 in one night. That's one night. Over $11,000 in one night in Burlington. Contributed over $3,700 to that. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Getting into New Year 2018. We're cruising, people. We're cruising. But don't worry. Much to share still. It's about to get wild. Winter camp live, end of January. Always doing that winter camp leading into winter camp to charge up the students, get them ready for winter camp. Winter camp that year was called Heartbeat. And man, that was really good. You hear my heartbeat. I don't know where that came from, but I forgot who sang that song, but we themed it around that song. I don't even know if you understood, but I'm not doing it again. And more Dare to Gives. Remember the Dare to Give? A leader came up with that. We do different challenges with the leaders, with the students. That's honestly we had hundreds of dollars more coming in every month, which I'm going to share totals with you at the end of this episode, which is pretty awesome. But that really boosted our giving. Just being creative, being consistent again, doing something every month, highlighting a leader, highlighting a student, doing this challenge, doing that challenge, getting students interactive. It's fun to give, but plus it's fun to watch like a leader or a student do something crazy or eat something crazy or all that kind of stuff. So Dare to Give was pretty epic. Let me see. I already talked about the wrestlers. Oh, I'll say this too. I forgot to mention this about the wrestlers. That conference, we always did a conference meet towards the end of the year. One of the senior captains wanted me to get Never Walk socks. And man, I should have brought a pair to show you here on YouTube if you're watching. But they're all black with orange stripes at the top. And it said Never Walk down the side. They're long socks and Never Walk down the side. And then Hebrews 12:1 on the other side. And everybody, I'm not saying just some, everybody on the varsity team wore these socks in a public school during the conference meet where there's 8 other teams represented and thousands of people in the stands, and you see Never Walk running up the side of their leg and Hebrews 12 running down the other side. And it was, I'm using this word a lot today, epic. It was just epic. It literally was epic. You can't make this stuff up. Again, remember the school's mascot was the Demons. These boys, regardless if they have a relationship with Jesus or not, they're repping Hebrews 12:1, run the race with perseverance marked out for you, never walk. Man, it's just proud moments, and just to see what God was doing, especially in this specific year within the wrestling team in the school. That led into Revival Nights again in April of 2018. Remember, Revival Nights was when we brought in other speakers from past camps or new or coming up camps, and it's 3 nights in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, built momentum, just kind of like mini like friends nights types of things. I guess they weren't really mini. We put them on pretty big, giveaways, food. It was always at the Kenosha campus. We came together with all of our campuses. Pretty epic, guys. I'm telling you. There you go with that word again. Then we moved into God's Plan series. God's Plan. Yeah, that was off of a song, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Again, I'm just remembering this right now, so I didn't put it in my notes. But I forgot who sang that. So there you go. Some of you are like, come on, Greg! Come on! Yeah, whatever. Okay, it happens. I do want to go into this. I didn't go into this in detail last episodes, but our senior classes were always really important to us. And we always wanted to do something really sentimental for them. I think I shared a little bit, but I wanted to go into more detail. And so our 2017, we always gave them a name, and then we always gave them a specific gift, and then allowed them to lead and really sent them off well at the end of June, even though they were with us through August, unless they went off to college early. And our 2017 was kind of like my first class where I did something extra special for them, and I gave them the name the Forerunners. You know who you are, 2017. Man, you guys were Forerunners, pioneers, boom, boom. And honestly, probably one of the best classes I've ever had in all my years of ministry. And then 2018 was Overcomers, because this class, I mean, maybe a better thing, they're more raw, more real, kind of just a little bit more rough around the edges. You know who you are, class of 2018. But they just came out overcoming. And that's why they got that name. And remember, they all got this manna jar. Manna's from, provision from heaven back in the Old Testament. And this manna jar was clear. They could put things in this manna jar as a remembrance of God's faithfulness. Well, inside the manna jar was a Never Walk bracelet, a dog tag with their name, class of 2018, Forerunners, or that was Overcomers, class of 2018. And then a handwritten letter from me. I was writing 20 plus handwritten letters every single year. And the students told me over and over again that was their favorite part of their gift, because how often do you get handwritten letters again? So I'm telling you, this is a really great idea. It's very inexpensive. You're going to get a jar, a clear jar, a mason jar. You write a letter, put it in a brown envelope, get a dog tag. Never Walk bracelet obviously is my thing. But I'm telling you, like, seriously, I think each gift ran about $5. I'm pretty sure. $5 to $10. I mean, actually probably closer to $10. I mean, how can you even beat that? And it's so sentimental. And I still have students to this day send me pictures of their manna jar, and they bring it to college. They bring it when they move from college, all this kind of stuff. Because I got students now that are having babies, people married and having babies. Like, what the world? So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. We really, 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 really made sure we poured into our seniors, regardless if they're there once or regulars. So I invited every senior I came in contact with throughout the years of that year, if they attended once or if they were part of higher goal, in different aspects. And wrestlers, just those were some of my favorite nights, honestly. So I wanted to pause there. Now we're going into one of my favorite mission trips of all time. Okay, and to do that, I got a special hat. Boom. This is from the Mula, or some type of, I forgot what the tribe is called. Should have looked that up. But this is from Panama. No, it's not from Panama. Holy cow. I did go to Panama twice. But this is representing the time. Even though this is from Panama, I know, really confusing, right? Is that confusing? It probably is confusing. Let me back up. I didn't really have anything specific from Ireland. We went to Ireland the summer of 2018. But here's the thing. Because I went to Panama twice, and Panama was so near, because this is summer of 2018. I went to Panama the prior 2 years before that, and those were, I don't even remember if I talked about those much in the last episodes. I apologize. Crazy. Probably because I didn't see pictures posted. But Panama, I went 2 years in a row. This was from Panama. This is called Mula, from a tribe, and a really sweet hat. And so I realized when I was going to do this episode, I wanted to make sure I talked about Panama, which I just did. So many amazing things happened on Panama. Panama! You know what that is. If you were with me during that time. Or I want a gecko. I want a bad gecko. Okay? So again, that is really random. You're welcome. But if you're one of the handful that know what I'm talking about, you're welcome too. So there we go. Panama was awesome. And this is to represent Panama, but all mission trips. Remember Project Burlington? And but last but not least, Ireland. Man, what can I say about Ireland? Beautiful, okay? I got up almost every morning and I ran on the Irish Sea. Come on. Irish Sea, sand, Irish Sea, ran on that thing. It was so beautiful. I was in a really, some of the best shape of my life around then, and I loved running. And I just got up early and did it. Man, we served schools during that time. Saw some sites. Saw some really, really old churches from like the, I don't know. Like, I could be saying this wrong. Like 14, 15, 1600s, something like that. 1700s. Because, yeah, it's crazy the things that you can see when you go out of this country. And, Ireland was a trip to remember. I wish my wife could have been with me on that trip. Gonna definitely go back to Ireland at some point. But here's a fun thing. When we were there's a drought going on, and it was the longest drought, I think, in Ireland, like, history. So it wasn't as green. You know all those cool green pictures that you see of Ireland? Well, it wasn't very green. I mean, it was green, but not really. It actually was more brown. But there's places that was green. But it didn't rain for like 30 to 60 days or something like that. And it didn't rain when we were there either. So, I'm trying to just think of some other things that, some good food in Ireland, cool shopping, cool little stores. But really it was just awesome. I got to preach with my buddy there at one of the churches, one of the last nights. Really just the sightseeing in the community, and the neighborhoods that we got to see. And, I mean, it was Ireland, people. It was Ireland, okay? So what else needs to be said? And God moved. God moved a lot, and it was a lot of fun. So that's Ireland, plus the Panama, plus going back to all this. There you go. You're welcome. If I've ever went on a mission trip with you through Burlington, Project Burlington, Panama twice, and Ireland, you know who you are. Amazing times. Thank you. Then that was over June through July 4th, by the way. June through July 4th, July 5th, I think we got back. July 6th, maybe. And then after that, came back and cleaned out lockers again, summer of 2018. We got into car washes too throughout the summer. Man, by this time, we were literally masters at car washes. We had like one of the best locations in the city. We are a well-oiled machine when it came to car washes. I mean, we were making $400 to $500 a weekend. Students were able to divvy that up through the hours, the shifts that they came, pretty much pay for their whole camp if they came to all the car washes, because they were leaving $30-$40 a pop. I mean, camp is a couple hundred bucks. They come all four, boom, they're done. Camp is paid for. So we were really blessed, and it was really cool. We had a really good rhythm going with car washes. So I honestly, I mean, yeah, it was work, but it was worth it. Okay, so there you go. There's some other cool tips. Now we're getting into summer camp 2018. Summer camp 2018, and that's where this shirt comes in, everybody. Wild. Now, again, there's nothing really specific about this camp that I can remember that I can really share with you, but I just figured it was a really good t-shirt to wear during this time when I was in Burlington that kind of just represents all of Burlington, the time I was there. It was wild, and wild in a good way, wild in some hard ways, some difficult ways, but overall just the best word I can, I guess, describe is wild. And again, there's good connotation to that and just a little bit, negative as well. There's pros and cons in every season of our lives. That's how we grow. If we're comfortable, we're not growing, right? And so summer camp 2018, the theme was wild, and this is honestly just a really cool shirt. The back, you can't see it, but there's like striped like colors and stuff like that look like this. Pretty legit, guys. So that was summer camp 2018. Always a lot of work, always a lot of fun. This might have been the time where like the U-Haul broke down or the truck broke down. I don't know. One summer I was driving back a white truck, it broke down halfway between camp and home. I had to get picked up. That wasn't fun. That wasn't fun at all. So maybe it was that summer. Wild, right? Wild. Popcorn, movie night. We always ended the summer with a popcorn and movie night chill and grill. That was just easy, simple, a great way just to hang out. You didn't have to watch the movie. You could play games out in the lobby outside, but there's popcorn, movie, snacks, and it was really chill. We just kind of had a little bit of a service, celebrated what the year, took like 15 minutes on the mic, and then just got into a movie. Stayed a little bit later. It was summertime. A really, really easy, chill way to end off a summer going into a new school year, because we always then took a few weeks off going into a new school year. Which brings us to, what did I do here? It brings us into fall of 2018. Now we got into things called movement nights. Fall of 2018, movement nights, September 5th. Again, basically, we just rebranded it, but it's just a friends night, a youth fest, whatever you want to call it. Can't really remember why we kept changing the name. I don't know, keep students on their toes, but movement. I think movement had to do with actually to come more just with the overall church, just what God was speaking overall to all the campus and movement. We had like these little gears and shirts and a whole series about that. So actually that's why we changed movement night. There we go. Here we go. By this point, fall of 2018 into Christmas, everything just started flying by, guys. Not much to share with you between that month, except this, which is pretty important. We just had a really solid student leadership team going in the fall of 2018, a solid adult leadership team. We always had more strong adults, but now it's really where student leadership started. I poured more into that. We had more separated meetings. We were more strategic about it, poured into our student leaders. They had roles and ownership. And I started way too late on this. I mean, they really would help with everything. The tailgate parties, they served their hearts out. All you student leaders in my time there, just thank you again for how much you served. me and your friends in the church and the kingdom. Like seriously, you guys are all rock stars. No matter if you were a student leader and had to step down, or you were there the whole time, or in the beginning, or whatever. Just, you know who you are. Thank you. And man, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We just had a really good rhythm going there, and they'd come early. We'd have a little meeting. That's when we kind of changed things the last year and a half. Would feed them once a month. They'd bring some stuff, bring their homework, come after school. That was great. It was really great. So it was more than great. And like I said, more tailgate parties that fall. Just established a really great rhythm. Like I said, really miss that fall. Fall of 2018, that year before 2019, was probably that little 5-6 months right there was probably some of the best moments at Burlington. Between Ireland, what God was doing in the wrestling team, through the student leadership team, all that was happening between the summer of 2018 before the new year of 2019. And yeah, as I was preparing for this episode, if you were around during that time, I mean, all times were good, guys, but there was just something about that season. And yeah, something about that season. It was good stuff. Good stuff. Then Youth for Christ, really, it was steady. Youth for Christ. I know I haven't talked about that campus life in Waterford. Obviously, that ended after a few years before this episode. Was doing campus life in Burlington, doing Higher Goal. I believe around 2018 is when I transitioned out of campus life, or I didn't do campus life in the school in 2018. I was just Higher Goal. I just had more of a heart for the soccer teams. And so fall was the boys and the spring was the girls. And I just kept doing that. Just kept seeing lives changed. I always brought the Gatorade, rolled it in before each home game. I even traveled sometimes for the girls' games because they asked me to come to the away games, speak for 10-15 minutes before their games, give them a Gatorade, pray with them. They always took as many Never Walk wristbands as they could. Really, honestly, Youth for Christ things were going great. I mean, I was more in my lane, having a blast, pouring into the high school, outside the four walls as much as I could between that, the wrestling team. It was great. It was a really great setup, and God was using that. So that was, just want to talk about that that was amongst the fall of 2018 and spring of 2019 too. And then at the end of the year, we gave the most we ever did in a year to missions. 2018 was the most we've ever given into missions, and that was over $6,200. And that was a lot because of what they gave on the big give, but more so because our consistency throughout the year, because that's when we started Dare to Give. Remember Dare to Give? We were doing Dare to Give almost every month, and so that really boosted our numbers and excitement for giving with the students. And so they gave over $6,200 in missions that year. Remember, that was only with the average of about 30 students. And so just students that really had a heart to give, which was awesome. So New Year 2019, here we go. Here we go, everybody. Here's the last 8 months of my time in Burlington. Here we are. So I also wanted to mention this as we jump into 2019. We honored leaders really well too, I believe. I felt like, adult leaders. So we had obviously adult leaders coming and going, transitioning out no matter what their time was. Some were there longer than others. But what we did is we always did tokens for leaders too. And so we would really highlight, if it was their last night, we'd have a little party afterwards. But before that, during service, I'd come up and we'd get a very special, specific token with their name on it a lot of times, or the years they served. And we really made it special for them, prayed over them, gave them a chance to speak and talk. And so, again, I say all this because I think honor is so important in every aspect, in any organization or industry, whatever you want to call it. But honor your leaders, people, student leaders, adult leaders, honor them. They give, they serve. Last time I checked, they don't get a paycheck, okay? So we should be serving them more than they're serving us. I'll preach. So never use and abuse interns, adult leaders, student leaders. I will be the first to admit there's probably times my heart was not in the right place about that early on in youth ministry, and the people that were probably around me probably could see that and sense that, and Obviously, I apologize for that. But obviously, later in my years, I don't know, hopefully by the time I was in Burlington, I really followed my leadership and just really learned how to honor leaders really well. And I hope we did that. So if you were ever a student leader or adult leader around when I was there, I hope you felt honored and all that kind of stuff. So, tell you the truth, at this point, end of 2018, going into 2019, things were getting, like I already kind of said, better than ever. I could literally just show up. I could show up by 2018, 2019. I could literally just show up on a Wednesday night specifically, and I could literally probably show up by 7 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. and service started at 7. Like, with the student leadership in place, with adult leadership in place, I could there wasn't really a lot to do because they had it covered. They had it handled. And just superb leadership team that took years to build, and consistency and compassion and patience and again, honoring and serving and everything like that. So again, going back to what I said earlier, just really good, amazing teams, a healthy rhythm. Then let's get into winter camp. I mean, going to the new year of 2018, getting into winter camp, February, I think actually it was the end of March. Winter camp 2019 was the end of March. It was called Wonder. We actually moved campgrounds. This was a really big adjustment, hard adjustment for a lot of us leaders and pastors and students. Just for a lot of different reasons we moved. But this was the first year we brought in a girl speaker, and it was about time. I'm just going to throw that out there. Okay, all you women in ministry, you're amazing. I'll just say it like this. Many of you are better than us men, and that's not trying to like compare contracts or whatever like that, or just like it's a competition. But I'm just saying, when I say we, let's just be honest. Can we get real? Can we start getting more real and raw here? Because it's about to get pretty real, raw and wild anyways. We got to do better when it comes to women in ministry. Guys, you gotta, men in ministry, get off your dang high horse. All right, stop power tripping, stop making excuses, I don't know, I'm just saying, like, women in ministry have a right to be in ministry, have a right to preach, lead, just as much as men. So it's not like more so, whatever, I extract that, or better than men and all that kind of stuff, because that just goes the other way. It's like saying men are better than women. No, we all have the equal opportunity to do and serve and bring people to Jesus, or in any industry, okay? But anyways, that was a little side note rant, but we brought in a girl speaker, winter 2019. She did phenomenal. If you ever watch this, you know who you are. And yeah, students really, man, I just remember it was kind of a different camp altogether because of different place and stuff like that. But she really set the atmosphere, our speaker. And like I said, did a phenomenal job. So, all right, well, here we go. Here comes the shift, everybody. Here comes the shift. And for no really reason, I'm just going to put the Never Walk back on here. Thank you for my other two hats today. Thank you. So Easter of 2019 was in April. This is when there was a shift happening. I can't really explain it. There's too much to explain if I even tried. But I knew something was happening. Something happening in my heart, my soul. And at that time I didn't share this, but when I was at in Burlington, the Burlington campus, I was doing youth and guest experience, and both were part of my portfolio. And my heart for guest experience just started something I mean, to say the truth, it's something I kind of had to do, didn't want to do, but I mean, that kind of happens a lot in ministry, and you're not going to enjoy everything, and that's fine. But my capacity was shrinking, and I didn't have the heart or capacity to do it well, and it was unfair to the campus, to the church, to the people I was leading. And at that time, I shifted first out of GE, and I thought that would help. I thought that was what was going on in my heart and my soul, that I just needed to just stay in the lane of the youth ministry part at the church. But after I transitioned out of that, didn't go away. That feeling, whatever you want to call it, it didn't go away. And so April of 2019, Easter, right after that, we went to a River Valley conference in Minnesota. River Valley, a remarkable multi-site church. I don't even know how many different campuses they have now. 5, 6, 7, 8, campuses, impacting a lot of people in the greater Minneapolis area, Minnesota area. And I think they have some campuses probably even overseas. But this was the second or third time I went to this River Valley conference, but because there's a shift going on, God really messed me up in the middle of May at this conference. Middle of May 2019, God really messed me up. I remember, man, I don't even know how to explain it, but I remember one of the speakers one night, my wife sent me over a prophetic word that she saw on Instagram. God uses Instagram, people, okay? So, and that's where the prophetic word domino effect started. But my wife sent me over something that really spoke to her. She thought it'd speak to me, and it did. And I kid you not, and this is how God works. One of the last services, the speaker was talking, and he talked about pretty much exactly, and I'm just going to spare some details right now because I want to save those for another time. Otherwise, we'll be here for a couple hours. What he talked about that night in the message was exactly, almost verbatim in that prophetic word about, I mean, give or take, just God, it's time for something new, shifting, sifting, all this kind of stuff. I ran down to the front that night, faster than even I did when I was a student at Spencer Lake Camp in Wapaka. And I remember going down, and I couldn't get down there fast enough when he called pastors forward for prayer. And I fell on my knees, and I was doing the ugly crying, people. I was bawling, snot was going everywhere. I was just asking God, just be clear with me, be clear with me. What are you trying to say? Be clear with me, be clear with me. What is going on? And I kind of knew what was going on, and that's why it was really hard. That was the beginning of God, man, preparing my heart. I mean, I can say it now, preparing my heart to be done with Burlington. Middle of May of 2019. And, I mean, why would I want to accept that, right? I mean, I love Burlington, still love Burlington to this day. Love the people of Burlington, the city of Burlington. And I remember talking to my wife that night, and we're processing through things. I'm sharing with her because I was silent after that. I went back to my seat. I didn't really say anything to her. We didn't talk till we got back to the room that night. And can't really explain it. All I know is God showed up in my life. And he was very clear that things were starting to shift and move even more here in the days ahead. So all of June, by the time I got back from that end of May, or middle of May, all of June, prophetic word after prophetic word came in. For about the end of May into the first couple weeks of June, about 3 to 4, actually more than that, like about 7, between real people, prophetic words, real people meaning like in person, letters that I received, prophetic words from social media, to confirmation from other leaders and mentors in my life. They just started flooding in. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and give specifics, but it just kept unraveling. God was very clear that my time was almost done in Burlington. And June 11th, well, leading up to that, I had some really tough conversations. And when I mean tough, good and bad type of tough, with some mentors that were part of different avenues in my life of leadership, in both avenues, from Youth for Christ to Journey and beyond, even people not even a part. In my journey. And it came to a place where I needed to make a decision. God was so clear that now it was on me. And so I set everything up, And on June 11th, 2019, I stepped into the office of my campus pastor, and we had our normal one-on-one scheduled that day. And he had no idea that I was coming in there that day to share with him about my transition out. And but I did, and I handed him my resignation letter on June 11th, 2019, and then I kind of read it to him and shared my heart with him and the reasons why. And he asked me if there's anything he could do that could change my mind, which again, is a pretty typical question, because deep in my heart, it's like, man, I wish I could say yes to that. And I appreciated him asking. And because there's this tearing inside of me, because that conversation, the best way I can describe it, was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I had tears in my eyes. To have that type of a conversation, critical conversation, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to communicate and do, but I did it with so much peace as well. There's this depth of peace. Do you know what I'm saying? When you know you have to do something, and even though it's really hard to do, but behind the scenes in your inner soul, you have peace. That's what it was like. It was like I was standing in a hurricane, and there's a hurricane going on around me, but I was in the eye of the hurricane, and it was total peace. And so obviously I said, no, there's nothing you could do. Decision's been made, and I wanted to make sure to communicate I'd love to be a part of a succession plan and help out and make it a smooth transition, and still want to play a part in some way and be in the community still, because that was definitely my plan over the next whatever time frame. And but after I left that office that day, there's a lot more conversations. I had to have a lot more conversations with leaders, adult leaders, friends, student leaders, students, conversation after conversation, families that are super close to, having to let them know why and when that I'm transitioning out of Burlington. Let's just say there's a lot of tears in June, through May and June, July, a lot of tears, August, the whole summer, just tears. I think I just carried around a Kleenex box, most likely. So that summer, I did stop at summer camp still. They started transitioning me out fairly quickly, which, I understood. They needed to get prepared for fall. I said I'd stay as long as they need, but it was in their hands. I did my part, and they wanted to transition me out sooner rather than later. So nothing really I could do about that. So I just started preparing my leadership team and the other campuses, and so I showed up at, I had something else going on during summer camp. Oh my goodness, what was it? I think someone was passing away in my family, if I'm not mistaken. Wow, I probably should remember something like that. But there's actually a good reason I couldn't really be at summer camp, but then I still showed up the last night, and I still had leaders that I actually didn't know yet, and they came up to me and they were prophetic, and they both spoke over my life that night. And it was just crazy. It was crazy, people. It was crazy what God was doing. So I was done by the end of August. The picnic, we always had a picnic, end of the year picnic, and that was kind of like my last event. And we had 3 weeks off going until fall started. So that was it. That was it. And it felt like it happened fast, because it started beginning of May, middle of May, done, said my, shared June 11th, and then within a month and a half, boom, I guess within, a month and a half, 2 months, I was fully transitioned out as the youth pastor at Burlington campus after 6 years. And again, a lot of mixed emotions, but I was confident still about my decision. And here's the thing, there are three main reasons for leaving, for transitioning, for resigning, whatever you want to call it. And, I could say in any specific order, Sure, but they all work together. They all intertwine together. I did want to take a moment and share a little bit more here before we shut things down. Obviously, one of the reasons, and a very important reason, was God. I don't just, using the God card, though. I just don't want to use the God card. I just don't, because I think that's really cliche. Yes, I already shared with you about the prophetic words, and yes, those are super crucial and important, but I just don't want to end there, because there's other cards that are very important, a part of this process, that went into this decision. So yes, prophetic words, the 7 of them, from the River Valley to friends, the pastors on staff at my church, people sending me things, like I said, on social media, 2 leaders saying things to me, not knowing I was on my way out, like seriously, glory, hallelujah. So that was one of the reasons I already shared with you. Family, though, was another reason. It just wasn't sustainable for my family anymore, my time. Again, this is some more of the real, raw, and wild things are about to come out here, so strap in. When you have 3 kids and they're all young and you're not able to put them to bed almost every night, it gets tough, and my family was growing, and then we had needs, and main needs is quality time from their father, and I get it. There's other youth pastors and pastors out there that you're doing it and you're enjoying it, and maybe it was a better fit for you. I mean, it was for me for 10 years, but it came to a season where it wasn't anymore. It wasn't a good fit anymore. And, we're called to, I sacrificed my family, my wife, my marriage enough. And, God never called us to lay down our life for the church, but for our wife, right? He never called us to do that. And sometimes we wear that as a badge, or like we're trying to be honorable. I know I did. Maybe you don't, but I'll be the first one to admit I did. And it took away. It took away from my kids. It didn't help my relationship with my kids. It didn't help my relationship with my wife. It only hurt those things. So yeah, prophetic words play in, and the God card, but the other truth is family. Family first. They're my first ministry. And as I've shared with you on past episodes, being a dad doesn't come naturally for me anyways. So put that into a recipe of always being there for other people more than my family. It's difficult. And if all pastors that are listening to this were really honest with themselves, they would admit that too. Maybe some of you are better than others, but at the end of the day, it's difficult, and we sacrifice way too much time from our first ministry. I mean, we decided to get married. We decided to have kids, and that's our first priority, and it should be. So I needed to make that shift. It was hard, and we had needs. I was working so much. I was working 3 different jobs at that time. I was almost 4. I was a life coach. I was working with, I was a health coach. I was Youth for Christ and with the church. And so, I mean, that's just not sustainable, people. 3 to 4 jobs, it's just not sustainable. And believe it or not, I shouldn't have to do that. I really shouldn't. And I know a lot of people do, and you got to do what you got to do for a season, but the season was up. I probably stayed in that season for too long. Not that I regret being in Burlington for 6 years, but there's things I probably should have made changes of sooner, and I own that. But when it came down to it, with all these things of shifting out, the God card, the family, the sustainability, working too much, taken away from my family, and the 3 jobs, it just financially, that was the 3rd reason. So God, my family, and financially, it just didn't make sense anymore. And here we go. And in this next part, I kind of have it, if you're watching me, obviously on YouTube, you're going to see I'm going to be more stuck on my notes this last part, because I don't want to mince words. I want to be so clear. I want to communicate. I want you to hear my heart. And so I might even read this verbatim. Obviously, if you're listening to me and you're not watching me, then you're not going to know the difference. So, but this is my story. Remember, this is my story. This is my truth. And I'll say it like this. I'll start this way. I asked to be full-time 3 different times in 2 years. And the third time that I asked, I remember being in a specific office, with multiple people, and I was in tears. I was in tears because, guys, I was in debt up to my knees, and I was working so many jobs, and I still couldn't make ends meet for my family. And this was after 5 or 6 years being there. And each time I asked to go full time to help provision for my family, they said they just didn't have it. They just didn't have it. They couldn't make it. They couldn't make it work, and that it wasn't possible. And you know what? My relative reality at that time, believed them, because you know what? We're taught to believe the best, right? And I'm not saying we should stop doing that, but also I'm just gonna be. Again, this is about real and raw. Come on now. I was programmed too, good or bad, to just believe the best. But since then, my truth has changed. My truth has changed, my pastor friends. I realized recently that it wasn't that they didn't have the resources to give to me. It's just they didn't value me the same way I valued myself. And that was hard to come to terms with. It wasn't that they didn't have the resources. It's just, or that they couldn't make it happen. It's just I just realized they didn't value me the same way I valued myself. If they truly wanted to make it happen, they would have. I know they would have, because again, I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. I know the ins and outs of the church enough, in the church, that the resources were there. And that's okay. That needs, I just had to accept that, because it was, for so long I was in denial. And actually it's better to accept that they didn't value me the same way I valued myself, and they just didn't want to allocate resources my way. And it's unfortunate. It's raw. It's real. It's truth. It's my truth. And do I still believe it was God's plan? Absolutely. But here's the thing. The greater of the details will be shared in my book someday, to leave you a little cliffhanger. The greater of the details. It's not the right time or place to go any further on this episode with that. I do want to thank those involved during those tough conversations, those tough times of me being bold and fighting for my family in a financial way. There were people behind the scenes working their butt off to do everything they could to get me to full time, and you know who you are, and I want to thank you for trying your best. So the only thing I'll end with saying is this is not, here it is, this is not just a political business issue with the church I was a part of, okay? So please, this is not me trying to throw under the bus. I have so much high respect, still, and gratitude, and it's not that they didn't value me, they just didn't value me the same way I valued myself, okay? So, but I just wanted to make this clear, so clear, and again, it doesn't matter how clear I try to make this right now or whatever I said. Remember, this is the Carffice. I'm your host, Greg Gross. This is my podcast. I'm going to say what I want. I don't need to apologize for anything I said, and I don't even need to say, please hear my heart, because some of you, no matter what I say right now, or no matter how I say it, you're still going to misunderstand me. You're still going to, take it the way you want to take it, receive it, respond however you want, because you're your own person. But with all that being said, my pastor friends, this is not just a political issue with the church I was a part of, or business issue. Unfortunately, this has been taught, caught, and learned and passed down to many churches around America, and many Western evangelical churches too. But in general, they just place less value on youth workers or support staff in general. It could be kids, it could be whatever, worship. But obviously I was a youth worker, so I'm just going to land on youth worker. Just place less emphasis and value. Not all churches, but I've heard too many stories. I've heard too many stories in my 10 plus years of vocational, bivocational ministry. And still to this day, just this past week, multiple times this past month, especially since I've come out with these episodes, I can't, this is it. As I've been coming out with these episodes, I cannot even count on one hand, two hands, how many conversations I've had with other people in and outside of ministry, youth ministry, vocational, bivocational ministry that have their own stories. And you know who you are that I've talked to. And I encourage you to share your stories too. Be bold, get out there. There's things that go on that aren't right. And how can they be corrected if they're not shared? And it's too many stories in my 10 plus years. Again, to this day, people reach out to me, share their unfortunate stories to me. Again, we need to do better. Hear me, hear me, hear me. We need to do better as a church and as people who lead these organizations. Things need to change. They need to shift. Please, if you are at a church and you are in charge of these financial decisions, slow down. Think twice. Ask deeper questions. Put yourself in other people's shoes. There are many people on your team really in need, but they are too full of humility and honor driven to speak up. And that was me. In some ways that was me for too long. And then I did speak up and I was fighting for my family more towards the end, and I should have started fighting for them earlier because I was just too stinking. This is not me trying to pat myself on the back. I have a lot of way to go, people. Come on now. We all can grow here. But I just believe I was too full of humility. I was too full of being honor driven and believing the best. And it blurred me. It blurred my view. It blurred my intentions. It blurred my heart and from what was more important. You know what? What was more important is my family. And I got there too late. And if you're on my side right now, if you are in vocational ministry or vocational ministry, and this resonates with you, speak up. You need to have a conversation with the people that are over you, that lead you. Speak up even more. Be bold. I still could have been even more bold, but nonetheless, with that, know your value and ask for it. No one else is going to value you more than yourself, and you need to get yourself to a place where you know your value, you know your experience, you know your resume, you know how much you're needed in a place, you know how much impact you're making, and speak up. Speak up. Maybe get some people behind you if you think you need it, but you are your best advocate. Speak up. And because other people's lives are on the line and are going to be impacted if you don't. Good and bad. And the thing is, if that organization, that church, whatever, if you want to even bring this outside the church realm, yeah, let's even bring it outside the church realm, because church is not the only political business-led thing. There's so many industries out there that have it wrong, okay, in this way. If they, in turn, if they don't want to match what you're putting out there, it's okay to move on. It's okay. I know. It's hard. It was really hard to, excuse me. It was really hard to move on. And don't mistake these tears for, just don't mistake these tears. You know what? I don't even know where these tears are coming from. I think in this moment, because you can't plan for tears, everybody. I think there's tears because it's just the fact that it's hard to move on. You really love places. These are not tears of frustration. These are not tears of hate or bitterness or anger towards anybody, any place, anything. Again, there's multiple things that went into this equation. And I'm not pointing fingers or blaming one of the things. It's all together. It's all intertwined. Some things harder than others, more personal than others, absolutely. But you know what? I think why there's something in my eye and coming down my cheek, it's because I just, as I'm wrapping up these episodes and I'm thinking about my time in Burlington, it was just a lot of fun, guys. It was a lot of fun. And fun is such a fluffy word to use in a moment like this, but it was a remarkable time and a season of my life that I'll always look back fondly on, no matter the good, the bad, the ugly, the difficult, the hard conversations, the things the disagreements, the opinions and truths that I hold today. It was really good, and I still miss so many of you. All you students that I got to impact through the years, no matter if you came through those doors at Journey Youth, each one of you mattered. All you wrestlers, you know who you are. All of you mattered. All you soccer players, you know who you are. All you mattered. All you families, all you parents, all you adult leaders, student leaders, people on staff, and all the churches, all of you mattered. All the people I came into contact with throughout the city that I built relationships with, all you mattered. And that's, I think, where these tears come from, because it just reminds me how grateful I am for the time I had there with all of you. And thank you. Well, I mean, I guess I'll just say this. Where do I go from there, huh? I stayed in Burlington about another year. My family attended the church as much as we could. I stayed on with Youth for Christ, stayed on with Higher Goal, with the wrestling team. COVID hit, obviously, in the new year of 2020, in March, I believe. And I kind of coasted a little bit there. Couldn't really do much. I was doing mostly just health coaching and stuff, because once COVID hit, health coaching business kept growing, but there's nothing going on in schools and stuff. And so I actually resigned from Youth for Christ the summer of 2020. I said, hey, the shifting continues. Like driving a shift car, right? Stick shift car. Shifting continues. And I just knew it wasn't right for me to continue with Youth for Christ. I mean, I raised my support for Youth for Christ too, and people were paying me, and it was just me. I even told this to my people at Youth for Christ, like I can't keep collecting a paycheck from Youth for Christ, and when people are paying me and funding me when I'm not even doing anything. We couldn't do anything. So resigned from that summer of 2020 and moved in with my parents August 2020. And you already know I did all episodes about that. So you can go back if you're this is your first Carffice, you can go back and listen to those episodes. I want to say this again. I just want to share with my audience, you, if you're listening, I want to encourage you. Again, I want to encourage those specifically. Again, any of those, I just obviously have a heart. This is for anybody that wants to take this, but I specifically want to talk to the youth pastors out there. If you are in any, again, position that I'm in, or was in, sorry, just really seek mentorship. If you need to talk to someone, you can call me. Try to find my number if you don't have it. Reach out to me. I'd be honored to listen, help in any way I can, but keep fighting, like I already said. Just know there's other opportunity out there if you want to look. Just know that you're worth more than you think you are. You're valued, and just keep doing what you know God wants you to do. And, but know that this is my part of doing better. Me sharing my story is my responsibility. For me not to share my story, I feel like would be irresponsible. Because I've always said to myself that this podcast, especially this specific story, I shared my health story, I shared a lot of different stories. If it just helps one person, and specifically if this just helps one pastor, one youth pastor realize they need to make a change, make a shift, be more bold, do something different, and it saves them maybe some of the stress or heartache or difficulties that I went through, then it was worth it. And again, we sometimes need those to grow, and I definitely did, but it's better to learn from other people, right, than learn from your own mistakes. At least I believe that to be true. Or learn from other people's mishaps, or however you want to put it. So, disclaimer again, remember, this is my truth, my opinions, my lived experiences, my relative reality that I shared with you today. And if you were a part during any of these things that I shared today, and you want to share something, start a podcast. There you go. That's all I got to say about that. I once again want to end by kind of a different way. I kind of saved this. I want to end by thanking everyone again in Burlington. Just everybody, you know who you are, who made an impact in my life, that was in my corner, spoke into my life, was there by my side. All the memories from this, like I kind of already said it, all the memories from the students, to the wrestling, to the higher goal, to Youth for Christ, to every little thing, opportunity I got from Burlington High School, the faculty there, staff, the principals, the AD, everybody knows who they are. Just thank you. All the friendships I built, all the families, man, all you awesome youth parents out there that opened up your homes, that poured into my life, that trusted me with your kids. All the staff I worked with throughout all the campuses. Just thank you. Thank you for your time. For each of you played a part in my life, in my development. And so, thank you. Just wanted to say thank you. And again, there's so much more I could have shared these past 3 weeks, part 1, part 2, part 3, but just so much, and too much to pack into these episodes. I don't even know how long this episode was, but more stories and details will be shared in my book, like I've already said a couple times. So you just have to wait, people. If you think this was real and raw, my goodness, just wait until the things I could share in my book someday. So I went pretty deep, but just scratched the surface. So I wanted to end with some stats. I wanted to end with some real life impact numbers. And so why not end with, and these numbers are not about me. This all the glory to God, and I had a team around me throughout all of these numbers that made this possible. Okay, but I wanted to give the numbers of how many students were water baptized, how many salvations, how many students gave their lives to Jesus, and then how much money specifically Burlington gave to missions over the 6 years. You ready? This is how I want to close today. There's 75 students water baptized in the 6 years. 75 students went from death to life in water baptism. 372 salvations. 372 students said yes to Jesus. And that doesn't even include higher goal students for the girls and boys soccer team. So if you add that up, it was over 500 students, maybe close to 6, gave their lives to Jesus in the time that I was able to be a part in the season of Burlington. And then here's a really awesome number, is in those years, in the 6 years, the students, the Burlington Student Ministry Campus gave $18,452.77 to missions. $18,452.77 to missions. My hat goes out to you guys. Phenomenal. And all those numbers are numbers that will be multiplied and last forever. And you know if you're a part of all those numbers. You know if you're a part of the 75 baptisms, 370 or 600 or 500 plus salvations, or the $18,400, over $18,000 of giving. And so I thought that would be a cool way to end the impact. It's all about impact. Regardless, it's all about impact, guys. So I'm going to close things down. Next week, this is wrapping up. This is episode 13, wrapping up season 1 of the Carffice. I want to thank everybody again for being here. I want to thank all my listeners, subscribers. If you share this, if you comment, I love your feedback. Keep subscribing, keep sharing, keep posting, keep commenting, keep giving me advice, keep letting me know what you like, what you don't like. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, let me know. This has kind of become a documentary of my life. If you'd like me to go back and go in more detail about certain aspects of any of the episodes I've done, including the Burlington ones, I could probably do a whole episode on a lot of different things when it comes to Burlington. It might be shorter, maybe 20, 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes, but I'll do it. But stay tuned. Stay tuned for next week, because again, even though this season's over, season 2 starts next week, and I'm excited to see where it's going to take us. And I really hope, again, you've enjoyed up until this point. And today was wild, huh? Today, I told you. Some things I didn't expect, but I told you, I knew today would be wild. So, all right, my pastor friends, hope you enjoyed your ride today in my Carffice. I hope it helped you in your current location or towards your next destination. Until next time, be well.